Hi everyone, it's Jessi Green. I am coming to you live right now from our new home in North Carolina. I'm so excited because we're going to be building out a brand new studio here. We'll be able to create more content. And I'm just really excited to just be connecting with you guys. I'm not sure if you saw, but on social media, we announced that October 5th, we will be doing a live stream for 3 hours. You have to sign up and register to join, but it'll be interactive Q&A. But we really believe that the Lord is doing something very significant right now in the nations. I've shared before, but I believe that we're just right now entering into the very little birth pains of revival. I think that God, in his kindness, is being so gracious to us by allowing us to work out our issues, work out our kinks for this billion soul harvest. And so I don't know if you're like me, but I don't want to keep learning the same lessons over and over and over again. I want to learn the lesson from God and move on to bigger and greater things. Is anyone with me that's watching? I'd love to know where you're joining from. I see right now on the live Larry, hello. Pamela, hello from North Carolina. So fun. Share in the comments where you're watching from. It's my first time ever doing a YouTube live, so I'm a little bit nervous. I don't know if our internet's even working, but I'm trying my best. Anyway, it's funny, but the Lord has been speaking to me profoundly with like such great intensity lately. And I wanted to share this word with you because I shared it on my Instagram at jessie.green. And I got so many DMs about this that I was like, okay, this really truly must be something that people are dealing with. In my book, Wildfires, give a little heart emoji if you have bought Wildfires. I wrote Wildfires this last year, just taking you into the gritty story of revival, my unfiltered process of igniting revival in Southern California, and basically revival boot camp that I experienced. And there's a chapter that I might write a whole book about, Larry. Maybe I'll write a whole book about this. But there's a chapter that is really significant for me, and it's called The Lies Are Clues. And my friend Leah and I were discussing this, and Leah came up with this theory that essentially the ways that the enemy is attacking you could be very much an indicator to what the Lord has for you. And so we talk about that a lot in regards to like childhood wounds. Even like before you were following Jesus, like what were you doing with your life? What did your life look like? Where was the enemy already attacking you? I know for me, I was a chronic people pleaser. I feared man so much and struggled so much with what people thought about me. And so it's so funny because, of course, then the Lord would have me leading revival where I feel like I'm constantly offending people, constantly being misunderstood, constantly struggling with criticism. Because that's what revival does. You know, we don't talk about that a lot, but revival is actually confronting the culture. And so if you're constantly struggling with fear of man, people pleasing, performance, what people might think about you, it's impossible to be a part of revival because the very nature of revival is it's shaking things up, it's awakening things, it's coming against the very culture that's trying to entrap you. And so I just wanted to share with you guys that right now, I believe that the enemy is just honestly like unleashing so much warfare because of the victory that the Lord is about to release in such a great measure in the nations, not just America, but all over the place. I talked to friends in South Africa and the Philippines and Australia, and it's as if this warfare has just increased to such an unreasonable level. And I just think, I'm like, it's kind of like, okay, so hear me out. When we were living in California, in our backyard, the kids would play all the time. They'd run around, we'd have a great time, no issues, right? So one day, my son David took this baseball and he threw it against the fence. And then all of a sudden, it hit this hornet's nest. And the hornets were literally flying around everywhere. We were freaking out, grabbing the kids, running inside. We didn't want anyone to get stung. It was just literally crazy. And I thought, gosh, if my son didn't hit that nest, we probably wouldn't even know that there are all these hornets living in our backyard. And so I think for so many of you right now, you're stepping into healing, you're stepping into deliverance, you're stepping into calling, you're stepping into your authority, you're stepping into the things that God has orchestrated for you before you were even born. Jeremiah says, like, God has plans for you before you were even formed in your mother's womb. And the very reality is the enemy does not want you to enter into those things, because what would happen? Okay, just imagine with me for a second. What would happen if you just didn't struggle with fear anymore? What would happen if you didn't struggle with people pleasing anymore? What would happen if you didn't allow the criticisms, the fear of failure? I think so many of us are afraid to risk, to step out in the things that God's calling us to, because what if it doesn't work? I know for me, sometimes I struggle with leading people because I'm afraid of rejection. I'm afraid of, what if you don't want to do this with me? Like, what if, that age old lie of, what if I'm going to be alone forever? And I think sometimes we need to say, you know what, enemy? Shut up, be silent. I'm going to enter into the things that God has for me. I'm going to enter into victory. And I think that some of you right now are facing such extreme warfare, but the lie is a clue. The lie is a clue to what the Lord actually is doing in the spirit on your behalf. And so right now, maybe just take a piece of paper, start writing down some of the lies that you're believing. Write down some of the ways the enemy has been attacking you. I feel like it's just so crazy, but I see these patterns in Parker and I's life, and God's right now trying to innovate in us right now. And right now we're asking the Lord, what do you want us to do with Salt Churches? What do you want us to do with Saturate Global? Do we still do these things? And I think it's so important for us to take the things that are in our hand and to continually not hold such a tight grip on them, but to release them to God and say, was that for a season? Or is this something that you want me to continue to steward? I know for me, even, I'm asking the Lord, what do you want me to do in regards to media? Stuff like this is sort of hard for me, but I'm trying to be obedient. And I always have technical issues and all of that. And I'm just trying to say, okay, I'm just going to start simply and just say yes to God. I'd love to see in the comments. I'm looking right now. We have people from all over the country, all over the nations right now. It's so amazing. Love to see, though, what is the Lord asking you to step into? What are ways that the enemy is attacking you? It's so funny because I used to struggle with really chronic depression. I would not want to leave my house. I would have so much deep depression, which is so funny because part of my calling is to be outside of the four walls, to be outside, to be around people. I feel like I have so much joy that's uncircumstantial, that's unreasonable, that doesn't make sense. And so, of course, the enemy would want to try to trap me in depression when I'm meant to bring hope, bring joy. And so, just there, right, is a clue of how the enemy might be trying to take you out. And so just right now, look and see, okay, what is the enemy trying to do? What is the Lord doing? What does God promise you? I believe right now, the words that I'm hearing right now from the Lord is the thing that you've been contending for is so close if you will just persevere and not navel gaze. Stop looking at your problems and stop looking at why things aren't working, and just start agreeing with heaven into why God has orchestrated it for your behalf. And so I just want to thank you guys for joining. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope to do more of these videos. Bye, everyone.